What's up guys, it's Shane here from House of Cards TCG, and I have a brand new Swordsoul Tenyi deck profile. Went to my OTS locals and went completely undefeated. Obviously won the tournament. Had some really good matchups. The best matches I had were against Drytron. Trap Eldlich was really tough. Also played against Mystic Mind, which had a few good outs. The deck, Mystic Mind's always tough, obviously. But yeah, went undefeated. Wanted to show you guys what the deck is all about, some updated changes I made to it, and I'm also going to show you what I will change moving forward to make the deck strong as possible. So yeah, can't wait to show it off. The Charizard looks nice.
Yeah, it does.
Need to get that first dead. Alright guys, so let's jump right into the profile here. So I'll start with the standard Swordsoul lineup. 3 Moyi, obviously you know about this card. The draw one, it's your best starter. And then 3 Longwan goes into your Synchro 10s. And we have the honorary Swordsoul, Incredible Ecclesia the Virtuous. Play 3 of it for consistency. It's just so good, you know, being able to tag out for a Swordsoul. And then 2 Taya. I didn't miss the 3rd. You really only need it in the grind game, which it is really good to top deck to get into your rank 8 plays. And the deck does sort of struggle with follow up, so that could be one of the issues. But I think 2 is really good. And then I do the 1 Blackout and the 1 Summit. I know a lot of people are playing 2 Blackout. It's just so easy to play around because your opponent has to have 2 monsters and you have to have a worm. It's a pretty heavy restriction, and you search this so your opponent knows you have it unless you hard draw it. And it's pretty simple to play around, and it just doesn't do a lot right now. So I like it at 1. Spoiler alert, I also play Desires, and I just find myself not really caring if I do banish it off Desires. It just doesn't do a lot. The Summit is good. It just makes things a little bit easier. You don't need it. It's kind of a win more card, but it is really good. It allows you to pop off even more. So I do like drawing it. Sometimes you will search it off of the Synchro. And then I do the 3 Emergence. Obviously it's your Rota for the deck. The card is insane that it can search Protos. Which Protos is such an unfair card, but we'll get into that. And then into the Tenyi lineup, 3 Ashina. This one you really need 3 of. The others you can play less of potentially, but you need this one at 3 because it special summons one from the deck, so it can help you get into your Tenyi engine. Then I do 2 Vishuda. I'm thinking about adding the 3rd. Because this card is just really good going second. Being able to bait out in the gates, bounce a card on your opponent's field is huge. They have to respond to that, or if they don't, then you're bouncing a card, so you don't care either way. We do the 1 Chitana, and this card is only play. It's a brick. You only play it because I'm running the Heavenly Dragon Circle. So basically the play is if they imperm or veiler your Moyi or Taya, you can chain Heavenly Dragon Circle to tribute to dodge it. And then you add the Chitana and you special summon out the Chitana because you still get the token. And then this is a level 4 non-tuner, so you can go right into your Synchro 8 plays. So it actually is huge because before that the deck would just lose to an imperm or a veiler. Unless you had, insane follow-up in your hand, extenders. But with this, it allows you to play a little bit more freely, more safely, and I really like it. It's just gives me more kind of firepower, not have to worry about just losing to 1 hand trap, which was pretty depressing. 2 Adhara. I don't think you need 3 of this one. It's pretty cool if you use your Protos to banish a Swordsoul monster. You can actually add it back with Adhara, which does come up. And then the main deck Protos. This I was playing at my locals. I know what everyone's playing, so this card is just absolutely broken. If you know what your opponent is playing, you can just make them not be able to play the game, which is huge. It's so easy to get this. It's searchable. The card will probably end up on the ban list at some point, just because it's so abused by this deck and so unfair. 3 Desires, says draw 2, you don't care about what you banish in this deck. If you banish the Protos, kind of sucks, but you still have so many other plays. So Desires is essential. Hand trap lineup, 3 Imperm. The best hand trap probably right now in the game is Imperm. It just hits so much, it doesn't trigger talents. It's really, really good. 3 Ash. I still like Ash a lot with Fusion Destiny running around there. You Ash the Fusion Destiny. There's a lot of cards to Ash. It doesn't do enough, you know, is the obvious criticism, but that paired with another hand trap just makes it really, really good. It's also good going first if you can build your board and then back it up with an Ash. It's huge. And then the spice is the Gamma and Driver. There's a lot of opportunities to trigger Gamma, and it did come up. So I brought out the Ecclesia. You tribute it for cost when you activate it, so it's not on the field. And then if your opponent ashes that, which a lot of times they will ash this, because if you're normal summoning the Ecclesia, you probably don't have a better play in your hand. This is probably your, you know, it's your least efficient play. So if you normal summon this and then trigger the effect, if you have Gamma in hand and they ash it, you can really punish them and turn what was a weak hand into now a winning position, because this goes right into your Synchro 8s. So it gives you a lot of advantage. So I really like Gamma in the deck. Also, going second, the card is really good, being able to negate a monster effect and remove it from the field. So it's really, really good going first or second in the deck. It has a lot of opportunities to show off. And then the final 2 are 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Hero Order. This card, if you draw it going first, you just win most of the time. I like those kind of cards. It does suck having it going second, but the benefits outweigh the downsides in my opinion, because if you draw this going first, like I said, a lot of the times it's just a win button. Called by the Grave, a lot of people cut it. I don't think you should cut this. It comes up a lot in the meta right now. I played Drytron, I played Eldlich, and this card was MVP against both of those. I Called by the Grave his Benten. It stunned out his play in the Drytron. This is just really good against Drytron in general, but against Eldlich, I built my board and I had the Called by the Grave set, and he activated the Eldlich effect from hand to try to, attempt to start breaking my board, and I chained Called by on his Eldlich, which really, from there it was over. There was essentially no coming back from that. This is 41 cards. The 41st card is Driver, so it's a brick, so essentially 40. If I was going to make this something else, I would make it a Veiler, and it would be 40 cards. The other thing maybe would be a Droll. Droll is really good in this meta. But for this locals, it's a lot of back row decks. 2 really good Mystic Mind players. We had an Eldlich player. The only ones to worry about other than that were Drytron, which I think this deck just has a good matchup against Drytron. Being able to Protos a light monster just says they can't play, which is good. So let's go into the extra deck, and there's some things I'll change in here.
So wait, Shane, did you say that you're running 41 cards?
41, yeah.
You the guy that lives and breathes 40 card decks are playing 41.
Yep, 41.
I just want to make sure I got that on camera, that's all.
41, but the 41st is Driver, so I get a pass.
You do have a couple bricks in the deck, so it's fair.
Yeah, let's sort these
out.
And
you play Desires, so that's fair.
Yeah, Desires. So 1 Monk, 2 Monk, 1 Shaman. Let's see if I can get these centered here. So I'm gonna add the 3rd Monk. It does come up. I didn't think it would, but I definitely want 3 Monk and 1 Shaman. And what I'm gonna cut is probably the Dragite. The Dragite just, it's okay. You just almost never want to summon it, because your other level 8 synchros are just much better. Allowing you to search, for follow-up and extenders is just way better than having a spell or trap negate. And this one, you also have to have the Watering Grave, which is pretty situational. So it just doesn't come up enough. The other Synchro 8s are 2 Baxia. You definitely need 2 of this. This card is insane going second. You can, shuffle back 2 is really broken. And then we have the Crimson Blader. This one doesn't come up a lot either, but against certain decks, When it does come up, it is huge. Against invoked, if you bring this out and you attack and activate the effect, they just can't play the next turn, basically. Everything they do is a level 5 or higher. So against, that deck, it's really good. Against the mirror, they can't do anything. So even though it doesn't come up much, when it does come up, the impact is so high that I would rather have this than something like the Dragite, which is still a good card, it's just not as high impact. And the other 8 is the Berserker, which you do need because sometimes you get locked into Tenyis, and this is a Tenyi. Get locked into worms, so that is the other 8. And then we have the Yazi, Chao Fang. This card's really good. Really good against Drytron. I unfortunately didn't have a good hand for going into it with Drytron, but would have been really broken. 1 Ruddy Rose. Card doesn't come up much either, but when it does, again, it's very high impact, being able to banish the graveyards. 1 Chinging and 1 Baron. So pretty standard. Couple flex spots in there. And then the side deck. So to preface this side deck was built to beat back row. There's a ton of back row players at my locals again. So 3 Cosmic. This is the best back row side deck card in my opinion because it banishes. So they can't King of Heavenly Sky Prison and avoid it. And it's really good against Invoked as well, being able to get rid of their Schism before the main phase.
And Scythe.
And it's really good against Scythe, yep. 3 Evenly card is busted against back row, so that's why I put it in.
Let me ask you this question with Cosmic and Evenly. Are you seeing Lancia being played against you?
No one-sided Lancia. It doesn't do a lot against the deck.
You don't think so? No?
No.
Okay, just wondering.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It stops your Tenyi plays, but you still have the entire Swordsoul engine. So, like, if they drop a Lancia, I'm fine with that. 1 Reboot, 1 Feather Duster. So, again, I got all these cards to deal with back row. So, my plan going in was not to lose to a back row deck because traps are so hard to deal with if you're not prepared. Most decks, like, just intuitively, they can't deal with traps, being, counter traps, having strike, judgment, that kind of thing. It's tough because you can't respond. So that was my plan. And then, like, for the back row, for the combo decks, Droplet is really good against combo decks. It's a must-have. I know it's expensive, but against combo decks, if you side in Droplet, there's so many cards you can get rid of. It's also a really good play if you activate a spell like Desires and then chain Droplets sending the Desires. It's so free. So Droplet is a must-have in my opinion. For going first, I put in 3 anti-spell. A lot of the good board-breaking cards, going second cards, are spells. So if you activate this in standby phase, then they can't activate Lightning Storm, they can't activate Dark Ruler, they can't activate, they could chain Droplet if they have it, but it shuts off a lot of their good board-breaking cards. And then I had one other spot and I didn't really know what to play. So I put in DD Crow because it's just really good this format. I hit a Ben 10 with it. It's really good. I didn't get the draw it against Eldlich, but it's good against Eldlich too to banish their Eldlich. It has a lot of good matchups against DPE. If they activate DPE and then you let it resolve and you crow them, they mandatorily have to bring back one of the other heroes, which can shut off their Celestial draw, or at least kind of, slow it down, which is good.
What are you finding that you side out in your main deck for your 3 to 6 going first or second?
So, like, against Eldlich, I sided out Gamma, and I sided out Imperm. I always side out Imperm if I'm going first, and I'll put in Anti-Spell. You don't really want to draw this going first. It's just not that good. Gamma can be good going first, so I leave that in. Other things I think about siding out, like going second, I sided out this. There's just more impactful cards. Other than that, it's just basically the hand traps you're siding out. You can side out, like Called by the Grave if you're going second, obviously. You side out Protos in some matchups because it just doesn't do anything. Like If you're playing Flunderies, this card does nothing. It stops them from special summoning, which they don't do. So, yeah. I side out the Blackout if I'm going second, because there's just other cards I'd rather have. This one just doesn't do a lot going second. But, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys, and let me know down below what you think, if there's any changes you would make to the deck, you know, what you think of the side deck choices. Obviously, again, these are just made for beating back row, so, but it was real effective, and still enough, you know, good cards to beat Drytron with.
Can we just highlight your tokens real quick?
Yeah.
Everybody loves your tokens on the channel.
Got the collector rare tokens, custom made, super nice. It's also pretty cool to, you know, use the correct one to keep track of what, you know, not that it's hard to keep track, but it just kind of helps. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Shane from House of Cards TCG signing out.